week 6, Diddy trial, Diddy drug mule. We gotta get into that, man. I heard he testified.
Well, they got him to testify, but it didn't seem like he was a drug mule. But before we get off into that, Mighty, this is going to be, this week was the prosecution last week. They brought him in and they brought in the people that arrested Diddy, one of the agents that arrested Diddy. Um, it's about to be over with, bro. The defense is going to go on next week, and they said they need probably a week or so to defend what the prosecution has took 5 to 6 weeks to do. So now, as I look back on everything, and before the drug mule, Brendan even testified, uh, the case was locked in sync as far as the RICO, as far as the racketeering and everything like that, which is based on a federal law, based on the federal stuff. But this is where it gets tricky at. Brendan was brought in because KK, his assistant, refused to testify against him. So now they bring him in to make sure that she was a part of everything. So when they go after her and the other people that were co-conspirators, then they have them trapped up. You understand? So that's why they brought him in. You understand? It was the drugs. It was the going back and forth. It was him receiving money from her and Combs Enterprises in order to solidify what was going on. So him testifying was big for the prosecution, for the other people, not more so Diddy, but for the other people that they're going to get as co-conspirators. So Brendan did his job as far as he was saying that he was trying to say like he didn't know was getting 28 ounces of cocaine or pills and stuff was against the law, which this guy comes from a well-to-do family. He's college educated. He played ball at Syracuse. But prior to this incident, or prior to this situation with Diddy, I think he had a state charge. The state had caught him doing something, as far as drug related. So now they dropped his state charges. The federal government had the state charges dropped and everything. So he got a clean slate on life. You understand? So now what he need to do and what he did was he testified. The state was happy what they was because they closed. They didn't badger him anything. They tried to make it seem like, oh, this was a college kid, a kid that was a basketball prodigy. He, because of COVID, he could see he stopped playing ball and everything like that. He started working with Diddy, and he became an individual that he could get over with the drugs. They didn't look at him for carrying the drugs or anything like that. So I believe that the federal government, because they have been watching Diddy for a long time, when they ran his charges, whether it's through facial recognition or everything like that, they knew he had a state charge. Because you got to realize the day they raided the house, why would they be following him to the airport and he wasn't at Diddy's house? Why would they be following? They knew this kid had a charge, and some agents probably was working with him. Some agents was probably working with him based on his state charges that he had. Because they caught him at the airport. Who goes to the airport with drugs on their person? Who goes to the airport with drugs on their person? He would have did better trying to hide that inside his suitcase or something like that. But he got drugs on him? Nah, bruh. It don't even seem right. It don't even seem right. So I believe, and this is my own personal belief, This ain't the beliefs of the art of dialogue of nobody's. I believe this kid was working with the federal government all along. And by him working with the federal government, they knew. Because when they doing surveillance on people, they do facial recognitions. They knew when they saw this kid that he already had state charges for drugs. And by him having state charges for drugs, you understand? Well, we could get at him, see what he's gonna do with Diddy and everything like that, have him work for us, use him as a CI, catch him at the airport with drugs, and look where they at. He became a mule for him. He said that he only took drugs for Puff no more than anywhere from 6 to 10 times. But that's what probably he got caught with 6 or 10 times that they knew of. I can't believe all the freak offs that he was doing per week that he only brought drugs 6 or 10 times. That was crazy. I believe that his testimony was pretty good though. His testimony was light. The defense didn't go at him either. The defense didn't go at him at all. So he had a light day. Everybody thought that it was going to be bigger than that he was going to say more. See, everybody thought he was going to say more. Everybody thought the prosecutors were going to go at him, bro. You understand? I thought the prosecutors were going to go at him. But see, what they did was they wanted to make him seem like he was a good kid. How the hell he a good kid? He know he's buying illegal drugs. He wasn't going to the pharmacy. He wasn't going to Walgreens. He wasn't going to CVC. He wasn't going to none of those places buying drugs, bro. He was buying drugs from drug dealers, then bringing them back to Diddy's camp. You understand what I'm saying? But they wasn't getting into that. They tried to make him seem like a good kid, bro. This is crazy to me. And like he didn't know what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. But they painted a picture for him, bro. They painted a picture that this was an all-American kid, and because of his bout with COVID, not playing at Syracuse no more, he went to work with with Diddy, and as a personal assistant, he became, Diddy used him as a drug dealer. When he had a case before Diddy. He had a case before Diddy. He had a state case. Why did they get rid of the state case? The state case came before the federal case. But they went real easy on him. And so did the defense. Can't make this shit up, bro. Before Brendan testified, they got rid of juror number 6. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard he was a black guy, right?
And the defense tried to make it seem like that it had something to do with they needed some racial balance on the jury and everything like that. It wasn't nothing about that, bro. This dude had lied on some forms and everything, and they caught up with him. And I think he's a government worker too. And he has to watch that too, because as being a government worker and you lied on those forms, you understand, that could go back to your job, and they could, because you have a certain status that you're supposed to have, and you don't supposed to, lie on forms. You have a certain thing that you have to be not only professional, you have a code of conduct. You understand? And if he lied on those court documents, and nobody's saying that he knew he was going to be on the Diddy trial, but he didn't tell the full truth, and that's what it came end up biting him. It came and end up biting him. Then like they have people in there that's watching the jurors. You understand? And if the jurors are making certain kind of eye contact, like they was making, like doing the freak off tapes, because they watched the freak off tapes too. So if they making some kind of eye contact, then look at Diddy a certain way or make some kind of groans or something. They look at that. They got people that's just watching the jury and see if they getting out of line in any kind of way. But this juror, they was trying to make it seem like because he was black that they needed that racial balance, and it had nothing to do with him being black, white, or anything. It's just the fact that he had lied, and the judge uh, kicked his ass out of there. You know what I'm saying? The judge tried to took him, and I think the judge talked to him. You know what I'm saying? And I guess he didn't like what was said and let him go. And I heard the jury is out. He's out there doing. He's speaking on certain people's podcasts and shows. He might be on the next Art of Dialogue. I don't know, but that's what it looked. That's what it ended up to, man. It ended up like that, man. That the juror had he told a lie, had nothing to do with his color and had nothing to do with it. But Puff team tried to play that off, and then they tried to get juror number 7 off. Now Puff wanted juror number 7 off, and I don't know what juror number 7 did, but like I just told you, Puff and them, they got people in there that is looking at every juror, and it seemed like he may be the juror that runs the show and feel like that everything Puff was doing was disgusting and might, you know, talk to the other people and convince them. Because they even wrote a letter to the judge trying to get him off, but the judge said, nah, we going with this. We going with it. So they got rid of juror number 6 and kept juror number 7.
You have any insight on what was shown on the tapes?
They didn't let nobody in what they call the chambers. They didn't let nobody see that. Only the people in their monitors, they could see that and they could hear it. But at first, you know, the people that was in the courtroom number 1, they could hear it. They could hear some of the freak off, and you could hear Diddy telling people what to do in the tapes. And then the court officer made them lower the microphones in their heads, and because they were doing it at Diddy's table, the lawyers them. They were doing it at Diddy's table, and they was too close to the mics, so they made them turn it down so the people in the galley and the chambers stuff like that couldn't hear what was going on. They didn't let nobody see him, and the media and the public was people were saying that because it's in federal court and it's going to be in public record at one time, it should be shown to the public now. But the judge then wouldn't allow none of that stuff to happen. But you could tell that the people were disgusted on some of the stuff that they were seeing. They was disgusted, man. You could see, especially some of the men.
How you know they was disgusted?
By their facial, you know, as a juror, you're supposed to be as calm, cool, and collective as possible. But when you see something and you go like, and you're trying to hold it back, a lot of times you got to realize it's an involuntary eye movement, and it's just based on what you see and you feel. You understand? You hear something, you see something, you might do a movement and not even knowing that you're doing the movement. And you could see that from some of the jurors.
I got this audio I want to play for you. A lot of people asking me to play it for you to get your point of view. So check your phone.
My life and I'll kill you.
Yeah, but
No, I will kill you if you don't show me right now. I will kill you and I will hide you and I will cut you up and put you in the dirt right now. Pull it up. If you have it, pull that up. Because if not, I'm going to kill you and then he's going to kill you again. So just do it. Pull that up right now. You got that pull that up. I'm going to kill you. You don't understand. I don't give a I've never killed anybody in my life, but I will kill you because you're with me. You're with me in my life right now. If I saw a video of you doing anything that you didn't want people to see, I would show you the video so you could tell me what the happened. You're playing games with me, telling me you saw some. Now you're saying you didn't see some. You're with me. I'm going to you up. I don't think you understand. And it's not going to be my hands, and it's not going to be blood on my hands. Someone else is going to do it. So you have to tell me right now, and I'm recording this whole shit. FYI, tell me what the you're talking about. Because this is not cool. We're not playing. I'm not playing with you, Sujit. Like, you saw some shit. Yes, you're my brother. Be my brother and tell me what you saw. You're going to be able to find it?
Wow. Bruh, you take any Latino woman, you take any black woman, you might could take a white woman. And if somebody is telling them that they seen a freak off tape that wasn't supposed to get out, that wasn't supposed to be known to nobody or seen by nobody, if you tell them that you saw it and you saw some of the disgusting things that they were doing, wouldn't they react in that way? I don't blame her for reacting that way, especially this person that she was talking to was supposed to be like a brother to her. She said that. So was she wrong with wanting to see it? She knows it exists. But her thing is, how did you see it? Where did you get it from? She's just showing that she's mad and disgusted and upset. I don't blame her for saying, you know, you want to say, oh, she said that she was going to kill you? Man, I know some sisters would have been went upside his head. So I'm not mad at her. I'm not upset. I believe it's just a normal reaction that somebody would have when somebody is going around showing freak off tapes to them and they supposed to be something that nobody's supposed to see. Mike, I don't know if I don't know what you expect me to. I don't know what the people and why the people think that I would say something negative towards that. And her reaction, she has a legitimate, viable reaction based on what was told by her. What somebody told her. Yo, I seen this freak off tape and all this. You know, we don't hear what the guy said, but you can hear her reactions based on what she said he saw. She did sound like she was kind of pissed off though, right? All right.
So you personally, you believe Diddy made her do all them freakos? She wasn't enjoying them.
Bro, when you groom somebody and you drug them, if you had Cassie boyfriends that she had before Diddy come out and say that, yo, we used to always do freak offs. I used to bring my mans in them and they used to piss in her ear and do all this other shit like that. Then I would say that Diddy probably didn't have nothing to do with that. But if she didn't have a history of none of this, and then after the drugs, after the alcohol, after the grooming and the beatings, she might get 10%, but 90% of his is his. I believe 90% of it is his. You got to realize, man, you know, there's people around here and they was drug addicts and dope fiends back in the day. You know what I mean? And they used to do all kinds of shit in the street, bro. She's a victim. I really believe she's a victim. And I believe that I'll put 90% of it on Diddy. The little girl didn't have no history of this. She 18, 19 years old, bro. Do you know what ecstasy, cocaine, all this exotic weed do to an 18 and a 19-year-old? That's what she was dealing with. I don't put no fault on her, bro. I know these cats in the street, yo, she grown, she an adult, she 18, 19 years old. Yeah, all right, man. You ain't never raised nobody to be grown.
Check your phone right quick. I want you to look at these pictures that came online yesterday of all the baby oil Diddy had in his house. It's one picture you're going to see where he got boxes and boxes of baby oil to the point that it almost hit the ceiling, yo.
My man, you can't tell me that those, in some kind of way, they were smuggling some kind of drugs, bro. The government is not letting us know. But some, the baby oil, they took it out of there. They were smuggling some kind of drugs. They don't want us to know. They really don't want us to know. You understand? The way that stuff is packaged and looked in the house and everything like that, you cannot tell me that was just regular baby oil, bro. The type of cases they have it in, the suitcases and everything like that, man, the government don't want us to really know. It's some kind of drug, it's some kind of chemicals that they had in those bottles, bro. The way that looked, and being in law enforcement for 27 years, doing raids, finding something is very suspicious about that. And the government ain't letting us in on that. There's no way in hell they gonna take 1,000 and something bottles and it was nothing in them. It was something in them, bro. Because you got to realize they didn't overcharge Diddy. They did not overcharge Diddy. They gave Diddy some minute charges. That sex trafficking, racketeering, RICO shit like that, they could have hit Diddy with a whole lot of shit. They didn't even go into him tax evasion, some things that they could have probably did based on him paying people for out of the company money for the company money for buying drugs and prostitution. They didn't do none of that. They didn't do any of that. And I was wondering why. I believe that it opens up a whole nother can of worms that they didn't want to get off into. They wanted to, because for them to offer him 5 years, you got to realize they offered him 5 years at first. Why would you just offer him 5 years when you have all these charges on him? They had a slew of charges they could have got Puff on, and they didn't even get it. They didn't even go for it. Look at R. Kelly case and look at his case. R. Kelly looked like a choir boy to Puff, and he got way more charges thrown at him than Puff. But the way that baby oil and the way that stuff is stacked in those suitcases and those bags and stuff like that, you can't tell me all that was baby oil, man.
You make a good point because I remember when I seen that one picture of the briefcase, and it looks like one of them cases where you would put money in, and he had baby oil in it. and it made me think like that can't be regular baby oil.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You see that briefcase and all that?
I saw that.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, you might be on to something, bro. Like me seeing that, yeah, it made me think yesterday, like, yo,
They did not. It's something about something that they don't want the public to know, bro. And they got some kind of thermometer there. This case got some kind of this is like a cigar case with a humidifier on it. Look on the side of it. Coffee bodies, organic coconut oil, Himalaya rocks. And when you smuggling stuff, you try to use coffee grains to the scent for the dogs, to take away the scent for the dogs. You got a big bag right there. It says coffee bodies. I don't know. Well, why so much damn baby oil? He like his people shiny, right? he 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 loves shiny suits and shiny boots.
you was telling me before this interview how Diddy he violated a Hollywood producer who was good friends with Mark Wahlberg. Tell me more about that.
Yo, I was reading that shit, bro, and remember I was telling people, and I caught a lot of flack about this, that uh that Diddy liked to go to Turkish baths and in the village, and a lot of the Turkish bath places that we was going, the clientele when you could see them walking in there that they were maybe of the rainbow persuasion to be a lot to be thinking about it. They was at the rainbow persuasion, and I was telling people that they used to go he used to like to go to the Turkish bath. We used to be on the outside, and all the other security personnel who ever went with him, we couldn't go through the doors or nothing like that. We just the front door, wait for them to come out. But you knew they was gay spots. I'm just gonna be 100 with you. We knew they were gay spots. This dude said that he was in the steam room at LA Fitness. While at the steam room at LA Fitness, Diddy was sizing him up. And they was having a conversation, and Diddy tried to go down on him and give him a fellatio. Now, this is a Hollywood producer just came out and said this. So I thought he was probably having flashback that he was in one of the Turkish baths houses, but he was in LA Fitness, and the dude said I had to beat Diddy at. He had to beat Diddy off of him. Diddy about to get a rape charge in LA Fitness, bruh. That was crazy. The producer said, I think was it John or James Collins, something like that. He said that he had to beat Diddy off of him. He ran to the front desk to get the people to help him because I guess he wanted to do something, like bring charges on him, stuff like that. Diddy ran out, and they said he never had a membership. He just used to pay cash to come in all the time. So that's what they having in the LA Fitness, huh? They running it like a Turkish bath, allegedly. Yo, dude, crazy. Dude came out with that, bro. Listen, when I first started telling my stories about how this dude behavior, his attitude, what he did to people around him, I never knew that this was like it is now, bro. You know what I'm saying? And any of the guys who hung with us could never say that this dude acted like that and did that stuff like that. Bruh, you cannot tell me it wasn't the drugs and it ain't the drugs that then took over this man body, mind, soul, or whatever. It's got to be the drugs, bro. It's got to be the drugs. That's all I can say. For him to try to take a man that's not even willing, it ain't like he was some like MC Gag and he just trying to get on or something like that. No, this man wasn't even willing. And that came out. That hit the newspaper. That was in the newspapers this week. That's just crazy. Well, like I've never knew that LA Fitness was a place that men met up to do things like that. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was just a regular gym. I used to take them to the Turkish bath things, and I knew them was gay spots. You could not tell me that them was not gay spots with the guys and the people type of guys. And I'm not saying everybody who go to, listen to me, everybody who go to Turkish baths ain't gay. But the spots in the village that we used to take them to, there were more gay people or people that appeared to be of the Rainbow Coalition or gay that was walking in those places. So don't get mad at me. And if you do, F you and feed you beans, bro. I'm just telling you what I saw and where we used to take them. And I wasn't the only security that took them.
So how long would you be waiting out there for Diddy to come up?
A couple of hours. Man, that's the best time. You sitting in the truck chilling. You sitting in the truck chilling. He coming out smiling. He happy. Yeah.
Check your phone right quick. You must be talking about him, right?
That must have happened. That must have happened in California because I was working for him back in those days.
My name is James Cummings. I was sexually assaulted by P. Diddy in 2002 in a steam room in Los Angeles. And he slams me up against the wall, and I grab him, and he's got his chain. So I punch him in the face because I can't get him off me. He's on me, and he's trying to suck my dick, even though I'm fighting with him, trying to get him off of me. So I get him by the throat, and I get him up onto the wall. I throw him on the wall. I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm looking at him, and it's like all these things are going through my mind. And it's like he just like comes at me again. I grab him, but it goes. I throw him. We go outside of the steam room. Now he goes off the wall. He goes down, and now I'm thinking he's running. So I grab his chain, and I got him, and I'm dragging him because I'm trying to bring him down to the front desk because, look, I don't know what to do. I've never had something like this happen to me before, you know?
Man, I believe Puff was just probably on some kind of drugs or something, man.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
The way this, because that's he trying to take a dude. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Or whatever he was on. Whatever he was on, he must have thought that was the place to be, LA Fitness. But 2002, man, I wouldn't have never known this. I knew he used to go to those spots, but I didn't never know he would try to take something from somebody. Because in 2002, I was around him, but he was in LA. This shit happened in LA Fitness in California. You know, I wasn't out there. I had him when he came to New York. You know what I mean?
When you look at the people that was around Diddy, who do you feel like should be co-conspirators?
Well, you know they already gave 5 or 6 people immunity. You understand? That means that they were going to be a co-conspirator. But now, who's going to be charged with co-conspiracy unless they flip or whatever like that? Evidently, they're not going to flip because the prosecution didn't use them. That's KK, his assistant. That's D-Rock. And that's Paul Alford. Their names came up heavily in the trial with the kidnapping of Capricorn, with offering people money, telling people they'll come up missing and things like that. So they're going to be charged. And that's why Brendan's testimony was so important to the prosecution, because he could say, well, I got the money from KK. She tried to act like she didn't know what was going on, but she did know what was going on. And then D-Rock and then Paul, their names coming into the picture. So now the prosecution going to now go after them based on the fact that they didn't they had some sealed documents that they didn't bring out in court, but they let the prosecution know. And that may be Paul. But D-Rock is probably the one that would probably not snitch or say anything against Puff. And he might be brought up on charges. It's the same thing that they did in the Epstein thing when they that lady the lady, her name, what was her name? From Epstein. Let's get her name, because that's going to be help. Gazelda, huh? Maxwell. Okay, all right. The lady, Miss Maxwell, is just the same thing that's going to happen in the Diddy trial that happened in the Epstein trial. That after they went after Epstein, they went after his co-conspirator, which was Miss Maxwell. They're going to do the same thing to KK. They're going to do the same thing with D-Rock and maybe Paul, if he wasn't a co-conspirator that did some kind of silent affidavit or some kind of silent. It's like they took his statement, but they made it silent where it won't come out to the court papers, but they used him and they gave him a deal on the side. They may do something like that. But D-Rock, the way his name came up with offering people money, with telling Puffy to handle certain things, I could see him being a co-conspirator, and KK. They're going to go after a lot of people after this, bro. They're going to go after a lot of people. The federal government and those and they got those young lawyers over there. They're not playing. They're going to go after a lot of people, and that's not even the half of it. You see, they're going after people right now.
We're gonna see. I know D-Rock, he been around for a while, man. He been around since the big days. Why you think him and Diddy never fell out? Cause Diddy, he got a history of falling out with the people around him, but him and D-Rock, they always been cool, from what I know.
Yeah, but see, D-Rock came in because D-Rock relationship with Puff came because D-Rock is the one who convinced Big to go to that party that night he was murdered. Everybody knows that it's coming out now. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was saying how much of a hero he was, and that's his man in the whole 9 yards. We got guys on the internet that don't know what the F they talking about. You understand? Let me just tell people this, because people who really know the law knows that when you go to the feds, they question you about everything. If you don't tell them the truth about everything, your agreement is non-void. They can bring you back at any time. I don't care if it was before you caught the crime or after you caught the crime. Once you would sit down there with the feds, they ask you, oh, when did you start carrying a weapon? Who have you ever carried a weapon before? So now, you got some clown on the internet saying that D-Rock didn't have a federal charge before 96 or for 96, 97. He only had state charge. But when he went to the feds asked him a slew of questions about guns, drugs, people he knew. If he lie or don't tell the truth, Anybody in the federal government who's been in jail will tell you that shit can come back and bite them in, and the feds can bring them in at any time. The feds can bring you in at any time once they know you have lied to them about something that happened in your past. That's why guys don't like certain things to be brought up on the internet or brought up, period, because they did fair time. The federal government don't play fair, man. They never have and never will.
How you feel about what Fat Joe is going through?
Yo, I don't know if they're gonna handle the dude like they handle the women. And this dude, he said he was a victim. So you gotta respect the fact that he's a victim and he's saying that he's a victim. But you also gotta understand that the lawyer that he's using is the same lawyer that the girl came on the trial and said that. She said that the reason I dropped him is because he was putting lies in his paperwork in the affidavit. He was trying to say that Diddy molested me and raped me or sexually assaulted me, and I never said that. So she got rid of him. That was one of the girls who testified in court. So now, is all the information on the documents of Fat Joe is true? Because see, I bodyguarded Fat Joe before. I was at the Rucker when he won the championship against OG Wan them, Rockefeller with Jay-Z them. So he was the one who put me down with Scott Storch. So I got a history of knowing Joe. You know what I'm saying? And being around him a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? Getting music for him from K Slay. Do we appear to be that type of dude that dude is saying? No. But we got to give the witness their arena. And then we got to also respect the fact that Joe has a right to face his accusers. Are they going to settle out? Or are they going to go to trial? But see what happens in situations like this, bro? The way this dude wrote up that shit with Lil Rod and the way this shit is written up with Fat Joe, it might bring the federal government into play. This is a civil suit that he's doing. It's not criminal charges. Lil Rod did a civil suit, but the lawyer wrote it up like it was criminal charges. And the feds got involved in that. Now, it could be a possibility that the feds may get involved in this because they talk about extortion. He bringing people like Pistol Pete into play. It's a lot of stuff. I don't even understand why some of these guys allow this stuff to get played out like this. Because if it's just a little money and you know these cats was down with you, because he was down with Terror Squad, he was down with Fat Joe. So you know these guys was down with you and you owe them something. Come on, man. You could throw them a little something and they'll go away.
So you think this can really get serious against Fat Joe?
You see what it did to Puff? It wasn't Cassie. It wasn't not Cassie. They looked at what Lil Rod said in that civil suit against Puff. And you got to realize who brought criminal charges against Puff? Who went to the police against Puff? Not nobody. Nobody went to the police. But they read that Lil Rod lawsuit and the federal government took it upon themselves to bring him up on charges. They read Luke Cassie stuff, and the federal government brought him up on charges. You have to say to yourself, and by right, they could do that. By right, the feds could do that. So if this guy's putting all that information about racketeering, extortion, threats, sexual assault against Fat Joe into a civil lawsuit, why wouldn't the federal government look at that? Because he a man?
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, everything against Puffy was civil, then he got serious. So, yeah, you're right about that, man. Tyler Perry, how you feel about everything he's being accused of?
Here go a whole nother thing. But this guy, he doing a civil suit against Tyler Perry. He just, I don't know if he put any racketeering or any criminal acts against him, but it's real funny, man, how stuff I talked about years ago, how Tyler Perry was in at Jack the Rapper. I don't know if he was at Jack the Rapper per se, but Jack the Rapper was in Puerto Rico. And me and my man was sitting at a table, Black, this kid named Black, pretty boy Black. We were sitting at the table at this nice restaurant. And 2 bottles of champagne came over to our table. I was like, damn, Black, you balling like that, bruh? So I know you got the bill. He was like, Gene, I thought you ordered that shit. I said, I ain't ordered nothing. What are you talking about? So I called the waitress. I said, hey, yo, these bottles is about $200-300 a bottle, bro. And you talking about we in the in early 2000s. They're like $200-300 a bottle. I was like, hey, yo, this at the wrong table. You know what I'm saying? And she said, no. The gentleman over there sent the bottles over to the gentleman over here. And they pointed to my man Black. And I looked at the gentleman over there, and I looked at Black. I looked at the gentleman over there, and he's smiling. And then I looked at Black. I looked at the gentleman over there, and it was Tyler Perry. I was like, oh, snap. I said, yo, little ninja, let me find out you wake up in the morning and Mud Deer's in the room with you. Man, he sent my man 2 bottles of champagne over. I was like, yo, Black, you know him? He was like, yo, no. I said, send him back. He was like, I'm drinking them. I said, all right, dude. Go ahead and drink them always if you want to. Tyler Perry sending grown men bottles of champagne over to their table back then. So when I told that story, you know, I guess some people was mad at me because I told the story. But I also knew about the Boondocks. Did you ever watch the Boondocks? And they did this segment on there when this actor was acting like he was a woman, like Mud Deer, but only to have, Only to have sex with men. You ain't never seen that?
Nah, I never seen it. I heard about it though. I've been hearing about it all week.
Yeah, man. They did an episode on the Boondocks of like Mud Deer, but only reason he was doing that was to have sex with men. Had them in the play, in the movie, and things like that. So they did that, and Tyler Perry had them take it off, and end up eventually having the whole show taken off the air. It was one of the funniest episodes of the Boondocks. So when I said that Tyler Perry was sending men bottles over to the table, everybody thought that shit is normal. It ain't normal where I'm from. You ain't gonna send no 2 men, but he was sending Black. He wasn't sending me. He was sending Black those 2 bottles of champagne. And I was like, yo, wow. Tyler Perry go hard in the paint, huh? And now this lawsuit he's facing. This dude has said that, and he's the dude that made reference almost a year ago about this whole situation. I think he just got the courage up to go against him. He made reference to it. So now he's going against, I guess Tyler Perry threw him off the set or not using him anymore. So he's going to come out with his truth. But he has a right, Tyler Perry has a right to face his accusers too. But I believe the dude going to be all in the right. He should have settled out.
You think so? You don't think it's going to end well for Tyler Perry?
Well, I believe a grown-ass man ain't going to come out and say another man was sexually trying to do something to him. And if he wasn't trying to do nothing to him. Because that's a whole lot to put out there. I just like one of the content creators said that Diddy was trying to sex him, but then he goes to see Diddy at Revolt Fair. Do that make any sense? Unless you really into that like that. You know, why would this dude say something about Tyler Perry like that? He made reference to it months ago. Now he just came out with the lawsuit with it. Tyler Perry got an answer to that. Because you can't tell, allegedly. I was there when he made it. To me, that's a pass. He was making a pass at my friend. He was making a pass at my friend, sending him 2 bottles over to his table. That's making a pass at a man. So the dude must got some, he might got something on Tyler Perry.
Do you remember the year this was?
It was Jack the Rapper. It was the year that 50 song came out in the club. I remember that because me and 50 spoke at that place right there. That's the first time after his shooting I ever spoke to 50. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how I remember that the year of it. I don't know what year that was, but it was the year that In the Club came out and 50 was there promoting his music. You know, it's something I want to speak on personally, bro. You know, I know this outside your questioning, but Suge Knight, you know, he had made a statement that I had knew Reggie from way back in the day in the whole 9 yards, and that I was friends with Reggie the time when Big got killed. Then you have some content creators go out and make all kinds of shows saying like I had lined Big up, I had something to do with this, that, and the third, because Suge said this and Suge that. Suge, being the gentleman he is and the gentleman that he could be sometimes, came out and clarified that I was the wrong person. I wasn't the person that he was talking about. You understand what I'm saying? As a gentleman that he could be, he said that he was wrong. It wasn't Gene Deal, it was Paul Alford that was big friends with Reggie and knew Reggie. You understand? Now the content creators who went out there and they start running off by their mouth, trying to make airways and trying to make a show up. Here go a grown ass man, right his wrong. But I bet you wouldn't see them clowns doing that. That's the same thing I was talking about when I said Mason Cameron made suggestions to Bad Boy Security. They never said Gene Deal's name, but these clowns out here was going to go out there and make videos. Gene Deal, Mason Cam said Gene Deal had to blame. Mason Cam, neither one of them was at the place. They was even there to say anything that happened. But this is what I was talking about, that Mace, yo, listen to me, say names. You got a platform. When you do stuff like that, you understand, you got to know right now that people look at me as being Bad Boy Security. So when you say stuff like that, brother, you gotta be clear. You already know, Mace. Come on, brother. And this is what I was saying. And what happened? As soon as that dropped, you got 5 or 6 niggas out there. Oh, Gene Deal was crying for the blanket. Gene Deal was this, that, and the Gene Deal was this, that, and the third. Oh, what they'll do to Gene Deal. I just want to say this, Mighty, and I don't promote this, bruh. But when you doing all that stuff to Gene Deal, what do Gene Deal supposed to be doing while you doing all that? I bet you really don't want to know. What you think I'm going to be doing when you doing all that to Gene Deal? They can play if they want to, but if they know what I know, they better find somebody else to play with. I appreciate you straightening that out, Shug. You ain't have to, but you did. Thank you, sir. Yo, I believe May should do the same thing Shug did. Right is wrong. You understand? Right your wrong, bruh. You know my responsibility always has been Puff. I never had to tell Big them shit. Keep it a buck. I was getting close to $10,000 a month from Puff. Doing security. I never had to tell Big them shit. I told Big to his face, if you go to this party tonight, one of y'all gonna die. Some people gonna die if you go to this party tonight. I didn't have to tell his mother nothing, but I did. Makes you know I was in the car with Puff fighting with this nigga because I'm trying to ride on the outside of the car because I know Big them security ain't doing shit what they supposed to be doing for him. You knew that, Mace. Me and you had a conversation about that. But you went on and tried to make like the security, you could have said big security. People know I wasn't big security, but you ain't say that, bruh. Yo, if the biggest rapper got killed, you know what I'm saying? You know I ain't have a chance. Come on, bro. You would have had a chance if you was with me, and you know that. You had a chance when you was coming down them steps. Yo, Gene, Gene, I'm good. No, you ain't good. Why I'm here if you good? Got you into your car. Come on, Mace. Stop it, bro. We don't have to make it go out like this, Race. You got a platform. People gonna listen to what you say. But you a man first, Mace. And real men do real things. Right or wrong, bro.
Me and Dialine, we did an interview. And I know you was telling me before this interview that you had some issues with some comments he made. Because he made some comments saying that every week you got a new story and he didn't believe your story about Farnsworth getting fired for stealing J-Lo boots. If you can you speak on that? Like, give me some more clarity.
It's nothing to give clarity on, bro. You know, these guys right here, they don't know what's happening on the inside, and they don't know how Diddy camp work, even though they may have been there for a short amount of time. You understand what I'm saying? I've been knowing this kid since 89 till I stopped dealing with him around 2004, 2005. You understand? So now, if I say that J-Lo was looking for her boots that she had sent to her house, to Diddy's house, and the boots cost $5,000, that's what it is. We went to Derek's house, because he say Derek, so that means that he has some kind of relationship with Derek, that he was cool with Derek. You understand? We went to his house and we found some of Puff's stuff and J-Lo boots at his house. The bad boy security team went to his house and found some of the stuff that was stolen from Puff's house. Now, Puff could be forgiven. It's a lot of people that went to work and did shit and came back to work for Puff. But he wasn't dealing with Jay no more. But when I say something happened, you best believe it happened, bro. And you could put your house on it. You could bet your house on it. So when these cats get up here and talk about entertainment and all this other, man, get the fuck out of here. I'm telling the truth. I'm coming out here telling the truth about what I saw, what I heard, whether you like it or not. No, it's entertaining that you can speak on something that you don't know nothing about. And whether he came back and worked with making of the band or however Puff did it, it could have been something he had to work off. But I know that happened for a fact. That's all I got to say about that, man.
Yeah, he said that Diddy wouldn't bring back somebody he fired.
That's his life story. Bruh, if you know anybody, the only person that I ever seen Diddy not bring back to work was Hassan. And that's because something he did to Kim. Kim Driver. Any and everybody I used to all, even myself. So for him to say that that don't happen, come on, man, you don't know what you're talking about.
So for the people that don't know the story, what exactly happened?
Jennifer Lopez, she was going out of town, and people had been stealing her boxes because she lived down there in the village. She had an apartment down there in the village area, around Christopher Street, that area around there. So she had these boots sent to Diddy's house. Man, I don't know what kind of Giuseppe, I don't know what the boots they were, but she said the boots cost $5,000. They had the thing that they were delivered there. Puff had people, security, even Farnsworth Bentley looked for the boots in his house. They was not there. Paul and a couple other guys from the security team all went over to Farnsworth Bentley house. The boots was in his house with some other things, other packages. Point blank, and that was it. So Jennifer got her boots back. Dude could say what he want to say. Dala, my brother, you was the member of a group. I worked behind the scenes. I seen a lot of shit that other people didn't see or not privy to. You probably one of the most, out of all the ones that are famous. Dave Chappelle made you famous more than any of the people in the whole making of the band when he did that skit about you, bruh. So go with that, bruh, and stick with what you know, because you don't know, and that's the truth. And being behind the scenes, brother, the reason why the making of the band and what y'all was talented, a lot of y'all in there was talented. Chopper, Freddie P, Ness, a lot of y'all was talented, bruh, but Diddy didn't take y'all serious. He was only doing it for the exposure for MTV. Did you know that?
Gene Deal, great interview, my guy.
Thank you, sir.
Before we end it, man, let the
Appreciate
people know what you got going on. Shout out what you got to shout out.
Yo, listen, man, we finna go into this last week of the Diddy trial, hopefully. And I want to thank people for supporting this whole thing, us bringing information to y'all, man, letting y'all know what's going on. And, still go out, Amazon, get Gene Deal, My World of Bodyguard and a Hip Hop Star. Gene Deal, Life After Death when Bodyguard and a Hip Hop Star. And you can also get ready for that bourbon called Wanted. It's a Gene Deal Special Blend bourbon whiskey that you will enjoy. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. And see you next week.